Mary Price, speaking on behalf of Brian Evans.
In recent months, I have been vocal on my opinion of the Proposition Progress Capital Improvement Sales Tax Ballot Initiative. It's not because I'm against funding for the repairs of our streets and infrastructure, but because of how it minimizes taxpayer oversight. In fact, it reduces the power from the people and empowers this city's government control over our tax dollars. I am also against taxes with 12-year sunsets. I am against an almost $100 million budget when the current 10-year projects are not complete. Projects the committee chair said they make sure happens, yet the city fails to complete as promised. I am against any new taxes until the audit is complete. In fact, I am not the only one who has concerns. Local business leaders posted 4 billboards across town opposing this tax as it is written, and I personally purchased a large quantity of signs to place throughout town. However, I never imagined the committee chair would commit a crime and encourage others to do the same to silence us once again. This is not only illegal, but also a sign of our city is hiding something. Last Wednesday, I received a call from Ms. Price informing me that during a capital improvement sales tax meeting and in front of our city manager, assistant city manager, and finance director, the chairman of the committee, Dr. Levins, instructed committee members that if they saw signs opposing the tax put out by Brian Evans, they had his permission to remove them. We have a video of it. I immediately drove to City Hall where I ran into Levins, and he admitted to removing my signs and then told me that they would continue doing so. He berated 2 citizens who attended that public meeting with no provocation, and since then, almost 24 signs have been removed and or obstructed to avoid being seen. Therefore, what is this city going to do to ensure that this never happens again? And we all know a $67 million property tax increase is on the ballot in August. Are censorship and First Amendment violations going to be the norm going forward? Does this council condone this type of behavior? My final question, what actions will this council take to ensure that this never happens again? I'm convinced if the tables were turned and that had been anyone from my team, they would have been arrested or cited immediately. Mr. Mayor or the city manager, I have a question. Who do I submit my invoice to for the replacement of the signs that your committee chair encouraged other members to remove illegally? I have the invoice right here. Should I present it to Ms. Naj? Well, she's not here, I'm sorry. So, Ms. Forsyth, for payment? I hope this is a lesson to the city council and the city manager. This type of unethical, illegal behavior is unacceptable.
Public hearings.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, please.
before you go into any other business, I want to make a little bit of a statement. When I got my packet last Thursday and started looking at it, I saw what Mr. Evans was going to speak on, and it intrigued me to the point that I made contact with him over the phone and to ask him some questions about what he was implying that perhaps occurred at this committee meeting. After that, he sent me a video, a portion of a video, and some other information. I listened to that, had some real concerns about what I heard, and consequently later received a call from the city manager, and we talked about it briefly. I have supported from day one the proposition. I do not agree with Mr. Evans' position on the proposition. But I do believe in fairness, and I do believe that we have certain obligations, and we have moral responsibilities. I was told that the staff members in the meeting, and there were a few, including the city manager, and you've also heard including a couple of others, did not hear the comment made by the chairman of the committee when he indicated that the no signs did not have property owners' permission, and therefore, committee members, you can pick them up. It is very plain. It's not difficult to understand or hear that. I asked the city manager to ask the other members of the staff that were in the meeting, and I was told that nobody understood that particular statement or heard that particular statement. It was in a committee or in a conference room on one of the floors here at City Hall. It's not very big. I received a second video that was even clearer to understand than the first one. My point is this: somebody, including the committee members, including the city staff, should have interrupted that statement from the chairman and said, no, that's not how you do it. You don't even know for sure that they don't have permission on some of the signs that have been picked up, of which they also have pictures of those signs being picked up. We have to do a better job of working with each other and treating each other with the same courtesy and fairness. I don't mind people standing there and saying whatever they want to say about me as a council member. They have a right to do that. This is a country of free speech. This is not Russia. It's not some banana republic. And I personally want to apologize to those people that were in that room, because I feel like that the staff, the committee members, and the city manager failed in a responsibility to say, no, you can't do that. You cannot just automatically say, go pick those signs up. That's not right. And I do apologize to that group of people because that ever happened. Doesn't mean that I hope the proposition doesn't pass, because I do hope it passed today. This is my last council meeting. There's no celebration in my heart tonight, because I feel like the city has let some of its citizens down with respect to this issue. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor. Dr. Farman.
I just want to echo what Mr. Stinnett said, and also extend my apologies to those citizens who were disrespected and had their property stolen. Thank you.
Mr. Cortez.
Thank you, Mayor. Unlike Councilman Stinnett, I have not seen any videos or heard of any audio, but I did hear of this incident last week and have taken a few phone calls on it. My response, which I would like to get on the record tonight, is I wouldn't care who it was or what it was. I don't believe it is proper for any citizen to remove anything in our community that they don't agree with when it comes to these political signs that have been placed on private property or right-of-ways. That's not the way we do things in this community, and that's not the way we do things in this nation. I think it is absolutely fair for someone to have opposition to anything that happens in this community. I, like Councilman Stinnett, do believe that we need a renewal of the capital improvements sales tax, and I hope that it will pass this evening so that we can continue to do great things for the citizens of this community. But I do understand that there are those who are in opposition of that renewal of the sales tax. And I do want to make sure that I'm clear on it being a renewal of a sales tax and not a new sales tax. But even if you are in opposition of the renewal of this sales tax, that does not now or ever give you the right to act nefariously in removing of anyone's signs or anything of that nature. So I do think that that group of citizens do have a reason to be markedly upset about that happening. And if it did in fact happen, if they have video evidence, I'd be happy to look at that. But those type of things don't need to be happening anywhere in our community, and they should stop immediately. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, Mr. Koppel.
I don't know exactly how we go about addressing this problem, because this wasn't just a one-sided problem. There were some of the vote yes signs taken out and thrown down at multiple locations. One of the people running for city council had their signs taken, removed, and thrown down. I know the last election, or last two elections, that has gone on, and it is very disheartening to think that that's the society that we are and how we represent ourselves all the way around, that we think that that's okay. And I don't know how you enforce that, because you can't be everywhere all the time, but I do believe we as a society need to be better than what we've been showing and what we definitely show during contentious election cycles. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Shaw.
Thank you, Mayor. I apologize that I've had some personal things that have kept me from being involved in some of the things going on, and I appreciate the comments that have been made. Certainly, my desire to represent all the people of the city, and I understand that while there are differences of opinion, sometimes those differences of opinions end up creating division, end up causing misunderstandings and so forth. But people have a right to express themselves, as Mr. Stinnett mentioned, and I appreciate that. One of the things I do want to add, and I don't know that I need to defend anyone, but I do know that on these citizens committees and all of our committees, we ask citizens who are willing to give of their time to step forth and to help us to try to achieve some of the things that we believe is best for the city. I know that Mrs. Price and some of the other folks we're still trying to get on the same page so that we can understand and work together with a little compassion and understanding, and working together to realize that we want the same thing. We want what's best for our citizens. But one of the things I want folks to realize is that there are people on that committee, including the chairman of that committee, who have a long history of laying down their life for our city. During the tornado, Mr. Levins did some pretty outstanding things that nobody ever heard anything about. And sometimes when we put them in a position of leadership, and there is seemingly strife going on, that's not what they've been trained for. That's not what they have got into the program for. And so sometimes they may not act appropriately. So I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. I just want to thank those folks that have served. If we've made a mistake, and it appears in some areas we have, I too apologize. And all I can do is commit to try to do better. One of the things that always happens in the 22 years I've been on the council is that we have sign ordinances. And political signs for or against propositions, or rather they're for candidates, are not supposed to be posted in the right-of-ways. And every street in our city, as I went down them, there were signs in the wrong area that should not have been there. So they were violations. I was tempted a couple of times to move them because I know that, but I knew that if I did, I'd end up being accused of doing the wrong thing. But anyway, we just need to do better. And again, I want to come to the defense of our committee members and thank them for what they did. If we did something wrong, I apologize. And thank you, Mayor, for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Now, public hearings.